Hi, within this lecture we're going to start writing our packet analyzer in here. So I'm going to import this kp-http and I'm going to import only http library out of this kp-http module, okay, because we're going to use that only. But first, actually we're not going to use the http, we're going to use kp. So we're going to use a method called sniff, and it sniffs, it listens for the incoming packets from the internet, from the target machine or from the network. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing that we did in the Wireshark, but we're going to do it in our own code. So we're trying to sniff the packets from the network and use it in our own code. And this sniff method takes a little bit of arguments like iFace. So this stands for interface, and our interface is currently ETH0. If you're using a WLAN O interface, of course you should write WLAN O in here. And after that you have to specify whether you want to store these packets or not. So I'm going to set it to false because I don't want to store all these thousands of packets here. I'm going to analyze these as they come and go. And then later on, the most important part in here is that I'm going to specify something called a callback function. Okay, and of course, I'm not just writing this out of my knowledge. I have read the documentation of Scapy, but in order to cut this a little bit short, I'm not going over the documentation once more. You can read it on your own time, but I'm going to show you how to use it anyway. So there's something called callback function, and let me write as a note here, PRN stands for callback function. And this is a function that will get executed when this sniff method actually runs. It will send some information to that function, and we're going to process that information within that callback function and do whatever we want. So if you have worked with Android before, this is kind of a listener function. If you have worked with Swift before, this is kind of a selector function. And in here we call it callback function, and all you have to do is just specify and create a new function in here. So let me define this function first, okay? So I'm going to say def and like analyze packets. You may choose the name as you want, and in here we're going to take in an input of packet, and this packet will be sent us by sniff method. Okay, all we have to do is just connect these two in here. We have to say analyze packets in here without the parentheses because we don't want to execute that function. All we have to do is just assign this to be the PRN of sniff method. So once the sniff method executes, this will send the packet that it is gathering from the network to the analyze packet function. And inside analyze packet function, we can do whatever we want to do with these packets. Okay, so this is what we call a callback function in Python. So if I say packet.show for right now, it will display all the packets for me. And we're not going to do that later on, but for right now, let me show you how packets work and let me analyze the packets, then we can find a way to process them. So I'm going to create a listen packets function in here and take these two below. Okay, I'm going to make them indented. So let us also give an interface input in here and replace this ETH0 with interface as well, so that it would be more professional. Now all we have to do is just call the listen packets, and the analyze packets will be called automatically because the sniff method will trigger this analyze packet function anyway. So let me show what I mean by running this as a test. So first, we have to run our man in the middle attack because we want to be man in the middle, right? Then we're going to start our listener. So I have to work with two terminals in here. Let me run this Python 3 command, and the target will be the Windows, gateway will be my router. Let me hit enter, then it will start sending packets. Now I'm man in the middle, and on the right hand side I have to run this mypacketlistener.py. So let me write Python 3 mypacketlistener.py and start listening. And as you can see, I got some packets right now because I'm connected to the internet in my Windows machine in here. And let me send this test HTTP post request once more by clicking login in here. If you have closed this, all you have to do is just go to the unicornitems.com and send this request. After that, you can stop being man in the middle because we already got what we want. Let's analyze these packets by focusing on this terminal only. And I think we have to bring this down because it distorts the view. Let me do it this way. First minimize this and then maximize this. Now I can see all the packets in here, like we did in the Wireshark, right? So now we have to find our packet and see where it resides on this structure, because as you can see, it has a different structure, it has a different way of showing packets than the Wireshark. So we have to find where our packet is. So I'm going to just click on Ctrl F and try to find it. If you search for HTTP, you will see that it has a lot of HTTP packets. And I'm not going to go over this one by one. This time I'm just going to search for my test and I'm going to find the packet. Then I will show you where it resides really. So rather than searching for HTTP, I'm going to search for test. I'm going to find this username. I know it's cheating, but I'm going to build on that, so I have to show where it resides. So it is here. Okay, we have found it. We have found the information that we want. And as you can see, it has something called load row. And if you go up here, it is under HTTP and HTTP requests. So Scapy has some kind of a layered structure in here, and it lets us analyze these packets easily by working with these layers. And we're going to see how to do that in the following lecture.